Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Welcome to Big Blend Radio's special Excellence in Tourism discussion with Bobbie DePorter. She's the co-founder of SuperCamp and president of Quantum Learning Network. And, of course, your Big Blend Radio hosts are here, Nancy, Reid, and Lisa Smith. We are the mother-daughter travel team and publishers of the digital interactive Big Blend Radio and TV magazine. It's our variety publication, as well as Parks and Travel magazine that covers, you guessed it, national parks and travel and all kinds of public lands, all kinds of parks. And you can go to all of our magazines and websites if you just go to BigBlendMagazines.com. But, you know, after years of working in the tourism and travel industry in 5 countries, really actually living in those countries too, America, England, Kenya, South Africa, and Mexico, we've seen that the benefits of the tourism industry far outweigh any of the negative aspects, and that the negative aspects can be fixed or even avoided altogether if a smart strategy or plan is formulated, put in place, and then attended to with care. The plan should be simple, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Now, we've added a new travel, tourism, and hospitality department to our Parks and Travel magazine. And to kick it off, Nancy is writing a new series of articles. It's called Putting the Eye Back into Community. The series is called that because tourism, really, when you think about tourism and success in tourism, requires the input, involvement, and buy-in of people interested in the overall health and economy of their community. There is no good tourism if the community is not healthy and happy. And as ambassadors of the 8 Keys of Excellence, a character education building program co-founded and spearheaded by Bobbie DePorter, we realized excellence in tourism could be achieved by integrating the same 8 Keys of Excellence into a tourism strategy. It makes sense that since those who wish to travel usually do so to be educated, entertained, and inspired. So go to 8keys.org. It's a wonderful program. There's a free family program as well. And also supercamp.com. We're going to talk about that, and we're happy to have Bobbie DePorter. We call her the Queen of Excellence back with us for this special discussion and, talk a little bit about what SuperCamp does and the role of education as well. Bobbie, how are you doing?
I'm doing really great. Thanks.
Hey, it's good to have you here, and I know Nancy and I are both excited, as ambassadors of the 8 Keys of Excellence and traveling the country, going to national parks and the gateway communities. When we set off on that tour of ours, the Big Blend Spirit of America tour, our whole goal was to kind of connect the parks more to the gateway communities and vice versa. And, we came back home after 3 years, came back home to Tucson. We thought we'd be on the road full time, and, we realized there was so much that actually has to be done in a lot of work and a lot of education. And I think it's so exciting today to be able to have this article series that Nancy has started and really get into more of the nitty-gritty of the education and that connectivity. Nancy, I know the 8 Keys is a big part of it, with what we're doing.
Well, that's the format that made sense to me after all these years and gathering all this information. And I was really struggling with how can I present this in a format people can remember and actually identify with. And then Bobbie DePorter comes along with the 8 Keys, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really the way to do it. Because what the difference between a community and a person is just a community is a lot of people put together. If they have like minds, like hearts, and the same goals, then they can achieve what they need to do for their communities. So the 8 Keys just seem to push right on in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bobbie, can you give us some background on the 8 Keys of Excellence? I know that you're an author of multiple books, including the 8 Keys of Excellence, Principles to Live By. How did you come up with the 8 Keys of Excellence?
Really being observant about people that are making a difference out in the world and do have a level of success, and it's beyond the success. It's who they are as people and the message that they're sending, because they really exude who they are. So we started looking at what were those traits and what were they focused on. And this is, almost 40 years ago now, that we came up with them. And they're just foundational to all of our programs. They're foundational, as you well know, into now cities, into governments, into nonprofits, other organizations, our own office. And they also, translate back to the individual. It's who you are, and then a community made up of a lot of individuals.
And the 8 keys, I know we see it with the community and the tourism aspect, because that was something, when we realized that this is something I know you do a lot with teens and preteens and young kids get involved with this, with the family education program. Everyone, again, 8keys.org is where you can go for that. It's number 8. But I know it's also instrumental in Super Camp, and this is the world's leading summer academic achievement program for teens and preteens. Been going for over 35 years. Over 20 million kids have gone through this and are part of the 8 keys. I know Bobbie's on a quest to have 50 million kids live these 8 keys. And so as we go forward with these tourism articles and features, there's more up our sleeve with this. And I know Nancy and I use this also when we go into communities on our Spirit of America tour and on our trips to parks and their gateway communities. We see it's something that needs to be in the schools. And I know that's a big part of the 8 Keys program, is getting into schools, but needs to have a language that everybody in a community is talking about excellence and having integrity and speaking with good purpose, these principles, these life principles. And a visitor needs to see it when they come in. And we saw that when we're talking about it in our seminars when we're traveling, that people really identify with it and go, oh, yeah, like it reminded them of why they opened their business. What are we really planning for our community? And if the kids are, educated and have more opportunity, the community is going to grow in a very positive footprint. What I like is with this 50 million movement that you've begun, the excellence effect, you've also got the Community Alliance of Youth Success in Oceanside, California, where you're based in Southern California. And this is something that is a model, really, I think, for other communities to really unite the 8 keys and get all ages to be speaking the language of excellence.
You know that there's an assumption out there that people just automatically pick up these good traits or think about it. And when we teach them to students at Super Camp and into the schools, a lot of the students say, wow, we haven't taken time to really think about these types of things. And when you talk about them, it's like, yes, that feels good. That is a positive, trait that I want to have, and then they feel proud of that. So it starts conversations. And then in the community, I think what's so powerful when a community adopts the 8 keys of excellence, it is that engagement. And it's also, I go into the pharmacy, I see the 8 keys. I'm on the main street and I see a banner with the 8 keys. Or I go into the mayor's office and in the city council, there's, the 8 keys are there. And it's like, okay, I feel at home. There's something common, and we all want to be our best, and in the way we interact with each other.
And Nancy, I was going to say, as a visitor, I mean, when you look at the tourism side, as a visitor going into a community that has banners and, the 8 keys on the buses, I know that's happened. It's, you turn your TV on in your hotel room and they're talking about integrity or commitment, so that's something positive too, right, Nancy?
Well, yeah, and when you're a visitor to a destination, you want to feel, first of all, you made the right choice in coming to that place. You want to feel welcome. You really, when you talk to people who have traveled somewhere, one of the first things they always say is, oh, my gosh, the people were so friendly. Yeah. So it's how did you make that choice? Were you happy with the choice? Would you go again? How were the people? They always start with the people. I mean, there's the nature, and there's museums and opera houses and all sorts of attractions. But that at the end of the day, the conversation always seems to start with how friendly the people were. And I think that's really one thing that's really key about tourism is that people want to experience other people and learn from them. And they want to feel not like they're intruding, but like they're welcome. And I think the 8 keys, I know for sure in the seminars we've had several groups together where there's a little bit of animosity between different businesses and things where we're like, wow, people stealing or taking down other businesses' signs, things like this. And I'm thinking, wow, okay, how do we talk to these people, because they're kind of glaring at each other? And the 8 Keys just worked so well with reminding adults
without us pointing fingers.
Yeah,
and it's good purpose.
Yeah,
very definitely is this conversation that happens, because as you know, in Oceanside, where they've adopted the 8 Keys of Excellence, we have a festival where we celebrate and students perform and the parents come, of course, but then we have city council members there, we have school board members there, we have all these people there, and I have a little anecdote that just hit me. It was, I'm watching all this performance and the students interacting, and they're all performing the 8 Keys of Excellence on the stage, and there was probably 1,500 people in the audience, and there was a couple behind me, and they had a good camera, and I turned around to them and I said, oh my gosh, you're taking so many wonderful pictures. Here's my card. Would you mind emailing them to me? And so they said, sure. So they were taking all these pictures, and afterwards I went to them, and it's like, oh, do you have a student performing, or how did you hear about us? And they said, we're tourists. We were just walking along and saw this activity happening, and everybody's so friendly and excited and interacting. So we came up front and took a seat. We knew nothing about it, and we're actually from Idaho. And they're sitting there. Not only that, but they're taking pictures and video and interacting. And I went, oh, my gosh, it was making an impression on the tourists of Oceanside that were seeing this positivity of what we were doing, and they wanted to join in.
Wow, that's amazing. And then you have this dialogue between people, and they're all on the same foot. That's to me, it is a language. And as more we can make this a universal language, the better the world will be, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Because excellence is, like we always talk about on radio shows with you. It's excellence versus success, and success is you have a series of successes, but excellence is a habit. It's something that is a lifelong way. It's a way of life. And that's why I think about the 8 Keys of Excellence. It is a language because you use a language every single day. We talk every single day or write every single day. We communicate, or even if it's in emojis, language is language. And I think that's what the most amazing thing is about this, that if we can get communities to speak more and communicate more with excellence, then visitors coming to a community are going to feel more welcome. And I don't know, there's just this nice positive feeling, because I think that positivity, when you think about that, it does breed out, doesn't it? In a community.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, it's holding expectations. That's the expectation that people will behave and interact with each other in a positive nature. And we always say to build myself and others up versus tear down. And there's so much of that happens. But what's the intention behind all that you're doing? Is it to build yourself and others up? And that's the expectation.
And, and it's true, to become a destination that people really, you might get them there through marketing the first time, but will they be an ambassador later to talk about the destination in a positive way and say, oh, man, you really have to go there? And will they actually return? Because when you get those two things happening, you've done the right thing, you've done a good job, and that people are enjoying the space. What can happen, and often does happen, especially in the smaller destinations, is a lack of training in something about positive attitude, where when maybe you're having a cup of coffee and you say to the waitress, so what do you like to do around here? And the answer is, oh, there's nothing to do. And and you've just spent time and money to get to that destination. That's about the last thing you want to hear. And that lack of positive attitude can ruin your trip. And I don't think when waitresses do that, or maybe they respond with, "Oh man, there's like 5 hiking trails and there's a theme park over there." When they get excited, now you're glad you came, and you will leave a bigger tip, and you will spend more time and money in that destination. So I think it's critical, that the visitor or guest gets what they expected and even a little bit more, and so they don't ever feel they made the wrong decision. And it all really sits with what happens when they get there. How are they treated? And if people are positive and they're cognizant of that, and they're practicing the 8 keys, people are going to have a great trip. And that's where the money comes from. That goes back into education. That helps the community boost its economy, and it happens pretty quick. The tourism dollar is like somebody pays for the coffee, and the waitress or waiter gets a tip, and the money goes to that local business, and then their salaries are paid, and it happens quicker than if you had to go get a grant or something that takes a long time and a lot of paperwork. It's pretty quick. So tourism can really flip a community from being in trouble financially to being sound. And the 8 keys seems to be a dialogue that works for it.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was long-winded.
We have a saying, too, that everything speaks, everything sends a message, and everything sends a message either positive or negative. And we like to say and find it true that there is no neutral. People, it doesn't really matter, and they'll do something and think, that doesn't matter, it's just a neutral thing. But if you come from the place of everything you say, everything you do, your environment, your interactions, either sends a message that's positive or negative, and that really puts responsibility and integrity on ourselves to want everything to be positive that goes forward.
Then that means you have to have balance, which is the 8th key of excellence, because if you have too much, of a good thing or a bad thing, then you're going to be, I'm just looking at, because everything to me, it all matters. And you think about it, this is it, live in the now is also one of the keys of excellence that to me is one of my favorites, is the 4th key. And, you think about it, every moment matters. And so every single one, you're going to look, do I want to do this again? Do I want to do that? And that, to me, comes into, travel and tourism and hospitality, and it's part of life, And so if you have a series of negatives, you start to like, And if you have, I don't think you can have too much of a good time on a travel thing. You've got to behave yourself in some way. You know what I mean? Of course. But, gathering those experiences that's memorable. Communities make memories, whether it's a family outing or a family going to an event, a baseball game, or it's someone coming into a community and going, hey, I'm going to go to the theater tonight, or I'm going to stay in this hotel and go on a hiking trip. Communities make memories, and that is something very, very special, something that music has. You hear a song on the radio and you're like, oh, I remember when, I met my husband on this day. You know what I mean? Then we danced to this song. It's the same thing. We're all part of that. So I think that's you're right. Everything does speak. And one thing I think we really should do is talk about the 8 keys. Bobbie, do you want to give us an overview of the 8 keys?
Yes, the 8 keys are a set of guiding principles. And these are universal principles, that you can't argue with these principles because they are universally accepted as positive principles and behavior, and they form our character and represent who we are. So we have 8 keys of excellence, which is integrity, match behavior with values. Failure leads to success, learn from mistakes. Speak with good purpose, speak honestly and kindly. This is it, make the most of every moment. Commitment, make your dreams happen. Ownership, take responsibility for action. Flexibility, be willing to do things differently. And balance, live your best life. And all of these keys, I've been living them, and they've been part of me and studying them for over 35 years, and that they keep going deeper and they keep getting richer in meaning. And this we've discussed so many times or found on so many of these conversations is that one key will lead to another or some aspect that supports another key, and they intertwine, but they become us and become our core and our whole of who we are.
I agree. It's to me, you just start to understand it more and more, and you evaluate things more. Like, is this something really that's aligned with me? Every little thing, even to what you put in your mouth food-wise, you start to evaluate it. Is this part of my balance? Is this going to be a memorable experience, or maybe I really don't want to eat that? You start to really look at it. Integrity, how Nancy and I look at it for tourism. We look at it as a sense of place, because if you go to a place and it's not memorable, that's, and I think that's for a community. Nancy, I know this is a big part of what you're writing about.
Well, I think, a sense of place, when you're looking at a tourism destination, you want to go there because why? Maybe it's because it's a business trip and you really didn't have a choice. Maybe it's because you have friends or relatives there. Or is it because you've always wanted to go there, and why did you always want to go there? Pictures that you've seen, videos that you've seen, TV programs that you've seen on that destination. What is it about that place that made you think, oh, man, I really, really want to go there? So you save up your money, you find the time to go, and, it's something, it means something to you. Time and money. Right? It means something when you spend time and money to go there, and there's something that called you for it. Maybe you're trying to research your family history. That's a big one these days. Maybe you're into birding. That's also huge. Something somewhere in you said, I want to go here. And you made that kind of goal for yourself. And then you finally get to do it. So I feel like it's so important that when a person goes through that when they get there, that they should be happy they went. They shouldn't come away feeling let down. And part of the onus of that is the attitude of the traveler. And the other part is the how the destination presents itself. Is it ready for it? Does it want visitors? And how can they be who they said they were in their marketing? It's such a important thing, because I know that during one time where the government did the shutdown thing and people were going to the Sequoias and everybody was upset and they couldn't get into one side of this, but hotel owners, restaurant owners, people got together and they were like, well, let's show them where they can go, so that nobody was really disappointed.
Right.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, is where people get together, put the eye back in community, work together to make sure what you said you're going to do, you did.
Yeah, you are part of the community. I think that's a big part of it, Bobbie. I know you talk about, like, who are you as an individual, like, your integrities and knowing who you are. We feel the community needs to know who they are and have that collective voice.
Yes, it's so powerful when they do. It's their personality, and you recognize it. You can feel it when you walk into a community or place. What does this feel like?
Yeah, it's like, are you the same, strip mall kind of thing? Failure leads to success is one of my favorite keys of excellence, because it reminds you to just keep going, and it's part of like commitment key of excellence too. And we call it make lemonade. I know everybody knows that term, but it's true. I just want to use an example of this. So there's Yuma, Arizona, which we spend a lot of time in, Bobbie. They took their landfill. This is an example. So you have a landfill right next to your heritage area. It's actually part of the heritage area. Here they are. They get all the, go to Congress and actually get the Yuma Crossing National Heritage Area to happen. And I remember Roger, actually one of the very first people who got involved with that, taking us around. This is about, I would say, 18 years ago, down through the Colorado River, and you're right by the historic downtown, which is now, really prospering and doing well, and saying, well, this is this hummingbird garden, and we're like, what? There was, a patch of dirt and a plant. And he says, this is going to be the hummingbird garden. We're like, okay. And lo and behold, they took the lower Colorado River, which runs along the interstate there, and it's right there, along the historic downtown. And this was the gateway to the Southwest, and people crossed this area to go across to California to go to the gold mines because it was the easiest place to cross over the Colorado River, the thinnest and most narrow part. Anyway, they went and they took out all the invasive plants, and this is still an ongoing project. They created what's called the West Wetlands and the East Wetlands. 49 agencies came together to do this, 49 of them. And the Indian tribes, which are on the other side of the river, and California on the other side. So you got, California, Native American reservation and Arizona working together to do this. But what was interesting about this hummingbird garden, it was on top of the landfill. They took, how do you have a landfill right at your downtown and say, come to our town? They took that landfill and they turned it into a hummingbird garden, a butterfly garden, trails, a solar garden that people can go see what solar panels do, all of these bark parks where you can run your dogs, and there's athletics. It's the largest interactive playground is there in the country, or one of the largest ones. They have places where people can go fish. They can take their boats out. This is taking a landfill. And that's what, a lot of times in tourism and in communities, you look at, we have this problem, we have that problem, and so this will never happen. But you can take something that is an eyesore or something that's negative. It could be crime. It could be gangs. It could be all of these things, and change it into something that is one of your top attractions at the end of the day. And that's what I love about this Key of Excellence, because we've seen so many stories like that. And I think you've seen that in your community, too, with Failure Leads to Success, that it can turn around.
Absolutely. I know. It's like looking at what are the challenges, and then what can you do for those challenges. We have in our community. We have the very affluent, and we have some very low-income areas. And it was like, okay, when we have events, how do we get the entire community out to get involved? So that was a challenge, and just looking at what are we doing and what's the result, and what can we learn from it.
I think it's so important to have a plan or a strategy that you can adopt and follow, so you don't get lost. Because we've seen communities that got kind of lost with their tourism plan because they really didn't have a plan, and later they're like, that's not the image we really want. And that's because they didn't think about it or get enough people together in the beginning of it. And that's where tourism sometimes gets a bad name, which is not deserved at all. And so when you make those changes, get people together, it's so important to have input from the community to see what it is they want. At the end of the day, good tourism, responsible and sustainable, means both the locals and the guests love it.
Right. And the third key is speak with good purpose. Be positive is what we talk about for in the tourism side, because of the same thing Nancy said, there's nothing to do here. Or maybe you're getting your community together to go, what is our vision? What is our plan? How are we going to make this a stronger, healthier community? How are we going to make this a destination? And I've been in meetings like that where people have actually had fist fights.
Yeah.
And I mean, that kind of petty stuff that happens. And speak with good purpose, I think, is something that's so important for these community meetings. Sometimes, yes, you may be angry at something, but there's a way to handle that. And, Bobbie, I think that's so crucial, especially now when we look at a younger generation. Kids go to city hall meetings. They need to see their elders speak with good purpose, I believe.
We teach positive communication skills of how, if you disagree with something or you're angry with something, there's productive ways and steps to go through that everyone feels better, and there's a result at the end. So we all need to be doing that. And then on the positive side, when you have a positive message, if everybody has the same positive message, there's so much power in alignment rather than 100 different positive messages. It's like, well, who are you? And like you said, it's that identity of who you are, but the speaking with good purpose and getting your message and your story, and if everyone is supporting the same theme, that really gets powerful.
I love that. Yeah, and it's about, have your community story to me. Have your personal, have your community, have your business story. To being part of the community means you are a part of it. This is it. Attention to detail is what we put in for. I know it make every moment matter, and the devil is in the details because it is those little things. When you go, I can't tell you how many hotels, restaurants we've been to where it is you pull back you go in the hotel, you go to bed, and you're like, man, I see people's hair in there. I see, like, is this a clean sheet? Then you go step outside, and there's cigarette butts outside, or it's those little things. And those little negative things can build into, like, now this is not cool. And those little things, too, you could go to your hotel room where they give you, like, here's a little side of nuts, or here's something from a local vendor. Maybe it's a jar of jam or whatever it is that's local and unexpected. That's, to me, what makes things memorable. And it can go either way, So I think that's something so crucial to do.
Yeah, because on the one side, when you're talking about cigarette butts being left out in the parking lot or different things, the negative things, that says we don't care. Mm-hmm. Not only do we not care about our business or our community, we don't care about you either. Mm-hmm. That's what that says. But now when you go to your room and things have truly been cleaned and there's a little extra gift that you did not expect, that says we are so happy you're here. And so that difference, those little things mean everything. Like sometimes travel can be rough where, maybe it rained the whole time, it was a long drive and it was really horrific. And when you roll up to that hotel, you want that. Oh, we're so happy you made it. Are you okay? And you want that. You don't want, here's your sort of half-clean room and we don't care about you.
Right.
It's a big difference.
I mean,
everything
you travel
speaks,
the world.
Everything sends a message.
I know, right? That's exactly. You travel the world. I mean, you get to a place and it's like, here's a cloth to, cool down with or something. It's amazing. I know that you're about to travel too. And, that's part of it. This is it. Is also, it's focus, right? And focus and details get together. That's it. I like that. Commitment. This is such a huge thing because you can create your vision. You can go, okay, we're going to take something that's an eyesore of our community or an issue in our community, and we're going to make it good. But commitment is such a hard thing. And it's like isn't that also part of positivity, Bobbie, to move forward? Is you have to have that positive attitude to keep putting that step after, that forward step every day.
And it's what you're committed to, that you have a big vision that you're going towards. You see what it is that you want to make happen in whether it's living the 8 keys in your community or what that looks like, so that the stronger your vision and clearer the picture of that, then the commitment towards that, what you're committing to.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's helpful for communities? I know with people too, because it's individual, it's organization, whether it's a school or a business, and then it's communities coming together. So there's those 3 steps, and even neighborhoods in between. Is it important for commitment to have a deadline, or like we're gonna do this in 5 years, to have those dates there when you want to have?
I feel like I have ongoing commitment. It feels like I have goals with specific dates and such, and so it's good to I'm committed for this to happen by a certain time. But some of those commitments are this vision that is drawing me forward, and it's on a daily basis that it doesn't waver, because my commitment to the 8 keys has been going on for 35 years. It's not it's just a commitment to live my best life and live the 8 keys, but I may have a commitment to there's an event in Oceanside that is bringing the community together, and I want to have these different parts of the community together by this date and with a result, and that we have an alignment. So that would have a date on it.
Okay. I know, Nancy, you give communities, like, you need to look at this every few years, and that's the thing, too.
Right.
And it changes.
Well, the whole thing is, if you're going to make a change in something, and you're going to go from a negative to a positive, then you do need a plan, and a plan has to have realistic goals. And I mean, there are times where you might say, by this date I'm going to do this, and it doesn't realize for whatever reason you missed the deadline. That doesn't mean you quit. You just say, okay, now I see that maybe that wasn't a realistic deadline, so I'm going to give it a new one because now I have more knowledge about what it really takes. You don't give up. You just stretch it out.
Right.
The flexibility key.
Yeah.
Stretch it out.
That's the flexibility. Let's just talk about that, because it is. And you have to look at something's not working. Stop beating your head. You know, that's how you get a big bruise on your forehead. It's not fun. You know, you can't change. And Bobbie, I think now flexibility is one of the, and everyone, that's the seventh key of excellence. You know, to me that's one of the most important things, because things are changing in the digital world, and one of the beauties of tourism is customer service and hospitality is human beings, not just a phone. You know, and a lot of, you know, there's selfies with your Instagram account and all that, but you know, flexibility means you have to be flexible when you're communicating with others.
Of course.
You know, and somebody may come in and have a special need. You know, maybe they're vegan or gluten-free and your restaurant hasn't done that before. We'll try, you know, and be honest about it, like, hey, I'll try. Be flexible, but there's changes in the industry. And in the world of travel is just, you know, one big ticket of flexibility, I think. Don't you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, my goodness. We've had,
it is.
you know, we do our super camp programs and others, quantum learning programs all over the world, and we just had someone a couple of weeks ago fly to Malaysia. Took her 3 days of canceled flights and touring, and it was like changes, and oh my goodness, talk about flexibility.
Yeah, I know, and it's and we have to also look at what's happening in trends. Like suddenly overnight, hotel rooms are being booked online. Then there's TripAdvisors, and then there's social media. So speak with good purpose. Hello, and you've got to have your commitment. The 8 keys of excellence. If you want to have a good TripAdvisor rating, Yelp rating, Facebook rating, you better do the 8 keys of excellence. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
On that too, ownership is part of it. Be part of the solution for tourism. We talk about this. Take ownership for your community. It's really about, even Nancy, it's like people have to go to town hall meetings, right?
Well, you know, if this is going to sound okay. If you are full of complaints about your neighborhood, your community, then the question is, what have you done to fix it? Are you part of the problem? Are you part of the solution? Or you just like to whine a lot? You know, if you feel there's something in your community that needs fixing, then put the I back in community, I being yourself, go there and help it. Help it get fixed the way that you feel it needs to be fixed. Go get involved. You know, and because you don't live alone. You know, you live with other people surrounding you. Visitors come in and then they leave, but you're still there and you live with other people. So being involved in your community and helping to make your community more prosperous and a better place to live actually just helps you. So it's kind of a win-win situation. Get involved and help, and from a community aspect for yourself and for others, not from a just I and me, because that doesn't work.
It's interesting. What we found is that one is people get busy in their own little sphere, and then when they see what's possible, when I have conversations with people, it's like, oh, okay, I can do that. But one didn't have the thought or time or didn't know how to interact, but they didn't know what to do. It's like, I want to get involved with the 8 keys, but I don't know what to do. I want to get involved with students, and help them out or mentor them, but I don't know how to do that. I want to, but, and so we create vehicles and then invite people in and then have the conversations, and they get pretty excited about, oh, my gosh, there's others in the community. How did you get us together? We didn't know each other. We just stay in our own little spheres, and that's it. So,
I like that.
No, it's so true. I think that's part of why I love going to Africa so much is because at least at the times when we were in Africa, things probably have changed over the last 20-something years or so. But the community was, in fact, a community, and it was pretty obvious that everybody lived right next to each other and talked to each other and knew everybody, the pros and cons of that, where in our kind of lifestyle, we kind of get little boxed off in little boxes on the hillside.
Yeah, little boxes on little box houses and
little fences. And for example, most African communities out in the bush, for sure, there's a fence that goes around the entire community, not a fence around each place where someone lives.
Yeah.
So we get boxed off. We want our privacy, but there's a bad side to that, in that you feel disconnected, and then it takes
people want a sense of
out.
belonging.
Yeah, you do,
exactly.
And I think it's we're I'm going to say herd animals, but we have that. That's part of our DNA.
We're social beings.
Social beings. Well done, Nancy. She spoke with good purpose. She saved me. But it's true, and I just look at, taking ownership to me as well as things like our national parks. They're ours. We pay taxes. And we also have to take action to stand up for things to make sure that they are still national parks. And so when we have these things as taxpayers and members of the greater society of America, then it is also a responsibility. It isn't always just about let's feel good and do this and go to this event, or it's about actually taking action and making sure we keep those, because if we lose responsibility as citizens, then what kind of country do we have? And I mean that around the world. So I think it's a responsibility. Are we going to take this action? Do we care? It's part of patriotism. These are the things, these are our treasures. These are our places, our destinations. If your town has graffiti and it's bugging you, which it should, unless it's being turned into an art thing, then you need to stand up and say, okay, what can we do? Let's look at some programs, So I think I just look at it with the national parks and all parks and public lands. These are the sacred grounds of, our history and of our nature, and we should take responsibility for them because we're lucky to have them.
My grandmother taught me, and this can be the balance key.
Yeah, we're on to that.
Okay.
Build a sustainable and responsible community.
My grandmother taught me when you're gardening, and she loved to garden, that you plant one for God or your spiritual higher power, one for you, and one for the rabbit that's going to eat it.
Yeah.
So and what you meant by that is if you're going to be in balance, then you have to do something for yourself. Mm-hmm. Yes, you have to do something for your higher being. And yes, you have to be involved in your community and do something for others as well. And so balance is if every day you do something for your community, you're going to feel more balanced than than if you only do something for yourself all the time.
I like that. That's really true. Yeah.
What are you going to do for your country? What are you going to do for your community? What are you going to do for you?
That is about sustainability.
That's balance.
I also want to talk about, the balance key of excellence is about education being such a part of it. So it's more than the theme parks and that kind of thing, and the casinos and all of that. But a huge part of tourism is education. People wanting to go on a bird watching thing or a historic walking tour, architecture, film history. These things are huge. And the other part is education. So many people travel the world, like Bobbie, who presents at these conferences, but a lot of people are going to these conferences. And it's pretty light-footed. People are there with going to learn something. So their minds are in this open, they're in this mode. I'm going to go learn something. And I don't know of trips that, I think that's why we're in this industry. The magazine and tourism is, travel opens your mind. It educates you, gives you real experiences, teaches you how to handle yourself. It's one of the quickest things. And what I think is education, Bobbie, that's really it. At the end of the day, tourism is education. And what you're doing at Super Camp is one of those balanced forms of tourism. Instead of, 1,000 people coming into a tiny town and they can't handle it, you're doing something where Super Camp, teens and preteens are living on campus when, school's out for the summer. They go in, and it's a light-footed, but it does bring some kind of economic boost into the town.
Of course.
When they don't have their students there as usual. So someone's going to get coffee somewhere. Things are happening. There's rooms are not for free. So tell us a little bit about that, how Super Camp works, because that to me seems like to be one of those sustainable forms of tourism that pretty much get overlooked.
And we have super camps in different locations, so it's always interesting to me that we could have somebody that lives in the same area as a super camp and they're flying cross country to go to another super camp, which is the same program. It's that they go for a different location and that different experience so that they go into the town. And then on the final day of the program, we invite parents to join. And so we have parents flying to different locations. And, of course, they're staying in the community and seeing the campus, for one, and seeing the community around the campus and interacting that way.
And then if the kids go there and stay in, decide, hey, I'm going to go do college there, I'm going to go there, if they get accepted there. I just think it's such a positive thing, that kind of tourism. Where is your next destination, Bobbie, since we're talking about travel?
Actually, I'm going to a conference in Hawaii, so.
Ooh. Well, that's just a whole sad bunch of tourism.
I know. It's hard to say. I know. It's like, oh, poor me.
I know, but it's exciting. It's very cool. I want to thank you for joining us because I know you're about to catch a plane. But really, thank you for the 8 Keys of Excellence. It's been such an honor for us to be ambassadors, but like you said, it becomes such a big part of our lives. And this whole tourism project, it's taken a few years, but I think you have to go through that. It's part of that commitment and learning, and it's just so exciting.
It has provided a structure, which, quite frankly, we had so much stuff at our fingertips that we've learned and experienced and collected over the years. I didn't know how to put it together if it wasn't for the structure of the 8 Keys. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you, because we just love getting them out to the communities, because it is about how do we spread the word, how do we get the reach, because we would love to reach a critical mass out there where there's a shift in character and what's happening. So we're working at it, and I appreciate all the support and partnership in it. Yes.
And it does work.
It does work. Look what you're doing with the Community Alliance for Youth Success. Everybody, April 23rd through 28th, 2018 is your next festival, right, in Oceanside? So if people are going down the pier, they're going to see something happen.
They are. Activity here in Oceanside.
I know we'll follow up with our I think it's going to be our 3rd or 4th interview with you on this, where this has been going on now, and it's really exciting to see the commitment and continuation, I can say this correctly, of this over the years. It's just been so amazing. I want to tell everybody, too, supercamp.com. Go there. Now's the time to get your kids enrolled, right? When does everything start to happen for Super Camp?
People are enrolling now, definitely, especially now that it's after the first of the year. Parents are definitely enrolling this month particularly.
Okay, so everyone, supercamp.com, you'll see all the locations, not only nationally but around the world. And I just want to say before we close, we're going to play Captain America because it's a song from Nikki Chris, and she loves the 8 Keys. She's written about it and matched her songs to the different keys. It's awesome. But we want to inspire everyone to be a tourism and community hero, superhero, and that's what the song is about. But I want to say that Nancy and I, through our commitment to partner gateway communities with the parks, not just national parks, but state parks, county parks, forests, BLM land, to keep all of these entities there connected and healthy. Part of our commitment is to really help everyone connect, but also get the travelers out there so that they have those experiences. We are offering complimentary regional page listings on nationalparktraveling.com for nonprofit or government-operated visitor information centers parks, museums, attractions, activities, educational facilities, events in your Park Gateway Community Travel Guides. You'll have your own page with a little listing and a photo and a link to your website so people can actively do this. And everyone, this is just go for it, do it, because you're going to get a lot of marketing out of it, and we really want to get all of our travelers connected with you. So go to nationalparktraveling.com. You'll see it right on the homepage there. Thank you so much for joining us, and have fun in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. It's great. Appreciate it.
We appreciate it too, Bobbie. Here, everybody, here's Captain America. Go be a tourism superhero and a community superhero. Again, from Nikki Chris, you can go to our website, NICKIKRIS, NikkiChris.com, and also go to supercamp.com and 8keys.org. Take care, Bobbie.
Thank you. You too.
Sleepy boy turned quickly into a man, wants to do what's right, the best that he can.